ASHE just might be the best DPS this season. With the nerf to Sojourn that came from the most recent hotfix update and the overall drop in power she's been having with the potential for more to come, ASHE has started to stand out as a solid all-around DPS. ASHE's ult can get tons of value, she has loads of pick and damage potential, the boost to reload speed for the DPS passive was a nice buff for her in particular, and she seems to just be able to control a game right now. Today I'm going to cover 4 of my biggest fundamentals for ASHE and dominating on her, and then I'm going to show you how I put them into action. Christmas time is here, and Santa has left in your stocking an easy and quick way to get to GM. There has never been a better time to get your membership to GameLeap.com. You can use code SANTA at checkout and get 50% off. Not only that, not only will you get access to everything, but 10 people will be picked for a free VOD review from our top coaches. That is an insane amount of value, so hurry up and click on the link right now and get your membership today. Okay, fundamental number 1 is going to cover positioning, and there are 2 main ways I break down good positions for ASHE, and it's largely based on what the other team is running. If they are running Widowmaker or Hanzo, then I tend to avoid playing in open high ground positions that would be exposed to those sightlines. I instead tend to play on shorter sightline angles, and especially ones behind my tank so that they can provide plenty of space for me. If the other team instead has flankers or characters that need to be close to contest me, then I'll play on high grounds that abuse wide open space. This versatility makes ASHE extremely strong, and it's important to know when to play which type of position. Simply pay attention to what the other team is running and then adjust accordingly. Our second fundamental is going to be target focus, and as a DPS, putting out damage is important, but even more important than how much damage you're dealing is what you're dealing damage to. I would take someone who's dealing 1000 damage to the enemy supports over someone who deals 1000 damage to an enemy Roadhog 9 out of 10 times because the pressure is much more important. So the general rule of thumb I have for target focus is to start with DPSs who are forward or are in important locations, as this will end up keeping them off of you and they won't be able to threaten you as much. And that will allow for you to be in more control of the game. Supports are good to shoot at if they step out into your LOS, but I rarely go far out of my way to try to hunt down and kill supports. If they're not overextending or playing stupid, they're going to be super hard to get to anyway and will likely not be worth it. Aside from an aggressive DPS, tanks are actually extremely important to be putting damage on in order to keep the enemy team from taking space. So just to quickly recap, and again, this is a very basic level. As you start getting higher and higher ranked, it'll get a little bit more nuanced than this, but that comes from player to player and it depends on your playstyle. But on an extremely basic level, we start with aggressive or strongly positioned DPSs, and then we go on to focus tanks, and finally, if you see a support step out of position that you can kill, then we'll focus on them. Our third fundamental is going to be cooldown management, and it's very important that you use your abilities effectively on ASHE. Having a plan for your coach gun can be absolutely vital to making you a difficult dive target or for getting surprise angles or shots on enemies. Obviously, it also gives you access to high grounds. Just be sure no enemies are within dive range when you do use it to go up, as they can then dive you while your coach gun is on cooldown and you won't be able to get away. The real important cooldown management comes from your dynamite, however. You want to use it for one of 2 main purposes. Number 1, for dueling or flushing an enemy out of position. This can include a tracer hiding behind a cart to try to push it, or it can include Genjis who are coming after you and are using deflight, since you can use the dynamite's explosion radius to hit him even when he is using it. Or 2, you want to use dynamite for building Bob, and this means looking for clusters of enemies and going for big dynamites to deal tons of damage for your ult charge. The biggest thing to avoid is a mistake that I see all too common in ASHE players, especially newer ones. Don't randomly use your dynamite when you already have Bob ready. This will feed the enemy support ult charge and take away a powerful dueling or finishing tool, and it won't even give you any ult charge, making it a total waste of a cooldown that actually produces negative value. Just remember, if you already have Bob ready, don't worry about going for big dynamites. Use that dynamite for yourself, use it to duel people, whatever. Our final fundamental is what really rounds ASHE out as a strong DPS, and that is her ultimate, Bob. Bob is super strong in Overwatch 2. He can control a ton of space, and his ability to contest objectives is absolutely massive for giving ASHE a lot of time to get more value, or for her team to regather themselves to push again. It can also force defenders onto the point, which would then flush them out of a position. It might result in a pick, and overall, he's just a valuable ultimate. I see a lot of people overthink on trying to make sure that Bob uppercuts someone, and while that can be good and it's a really useful combo to have in your pocket, it's just as important to make sure that he doesn't go all the way off the map or way out of the fight where he can no longer help you. look for walls or props that you would be okay with him standing next to. That way you can at minimum be sure that Bob will be around to help you out. Okay, so let's take a look at one of my ASHE games that I played recently, and we're going to see how I implemented these fundamentals to win a very close game. Okay, here we are on Nepal, and this first fight I'm going to show you is really important because it shows just how key building ultimate is. What we're going to do, even though I don't win the first fight of this match, we're going to go and watch it, and then after the fact, we're going to see how that leads into the next fight and how I end up winning the follow-up fight because of it. So see here, I notice they have a Junkrat and a soldier. So what I'm doing is I'm playing this far angle because I know that there's nothing that can really endanger me. They don't have any snipers that can one-shot me. All I need to do is play the angle, look to build good ult charge. So as you can see, I'm going to use a dynamite there where I know there's two people walking up. I'm just kiting, pushing to build my ult. Nothing too spectacular, but look at just how much ult charge I already have compared to everybody else right now. I'm at 60% ult charge. That's more than the Kirikos. That's more than anyone. Right? Having the first ultimate in the game is crucial because that's going to be a massive, massive ultimate. The most important ult in every fight is the first one that's used. In any case, you see I get rezzed here. So now I get aggressive. This was poorly timed aggression. I should not have used my coach gun there. That was bad cooldown management, but I'm spamming and I'm trying to finish building my ult. I'm going to rotate to the left side here. Managed to kill the soldier. That's a free pick. Get this Junkrat off. I used the Bob to get myself a little bit of space from the Roadhog. I thought he was going to use this hook, why I threw Bob out in the first place. You can actually use Bob to block hook a lot of the time if you know that he's about to hook you and he's walking in a straight line at you like that. But because of this Bob and because of the two picks that I opened up with there with my good positioning and just again, good ult charge and cooldown management, we are now going to flip this cap here. Always, always, always be trying to build your ultimate as quickly as possible. So this fight is a perfect example of good, steady positioning and good target focus. So we're going to take a look and see how it goes. And I'm going to explain like step by step what's going on here. Notice how I'm clearing every angle. They have a tracer. We're in round 2 at this point. I'm looking to spam and finish building my Bob here. I'm at 67%. I'm not rushing anything. Again, I'm looking for this tracer. Identifying and killing this tracer first is massive. She's my biggest threat at the moment. She's the one who's going to come after me in the middle of the fight. So I want to take care of her first and foremost, because that will open me up to play more aggressively for the remainder of the fight. So here, someone calls a hogs behind us. So I turn around. You can see he's got the ping marker over his head. I'm going to keep applying pressure to this hog because now he is my biggest threat. We end up getting a pick on him, and now it should be pretty much easy from here. The tracer ends up coming back, and I 180 as she's trying to fight me. Same with the soldier. But you'll notice that I'm just dealing with threats one by one, and now it doesn't really matter who I shoot. Anyone I put damage pressure on is going to be a good target because I killed all my threats. And now I have Bob for the follow-up fight. Okay, so now we're in the follow-up fight, and I have Bob, and you'll notice in this fight, I actually do end up using my dynamite to flush people out of positions a lot. And I'm very much focused on having a good Bob placement and playing around the angles that he's going to be covering. So here I use dynamite, force the Hanzo back. He leaves that position just like I was talking about. I already have my Bob, so I'm not looking to use my dynamite into a big clump of people. I'm more focused on using it for purposes like that, where I force the Hanzo out of the pillar. Okay, so here they're coming up the stairs. I want to use Bob here. I could use it and try to hit a perfect uppercut on someone, but I know aiming where I'm aiming, even if it doesn't hit an uppercut on one of the many people walking through this choke, which is unlikely, he's going to stop at the stairs and he's going to have a good sight line because he's going to be covering their stairs. They're all going to be split. He does get the uppercut. He gets booped. That's fine. I take note of where he got booped to. I hit this Lucio with a dynamite to try to force him out. Don't manage to get the kill on him, but that is a-okay. So here I'm taking note of what our team is holding and what Bob is holding. I see that we're mostly holding just the straight angle down main. So to play off of that, I'm actually going to start swinging up over to my left here to try to go for picks on their team while they're all stuck in the cubbies. And you can see how much pressure I'm actually applying, even though I'm not constantly shooting them. They're all trying to LOS me, and now they're all forcing themselves to be split because of it. The Zarya is here having to get healed in a very odd angle by the Kiriko. The Kiriko is having to hide here. She can't do any damage. She can't do anything besides heal the Zarya. The Hanzo has had to completely exit the fight because he was low HP. So they're all in a bad position. The Kiriko tries to cross. I get the pick on her. Now I'm going to rotate back up and make sure that we kill this Hanzo, and I've completely shut down that fight. That fight was completely under my control from start to finish because of that Bob, because of the angles I took and everything. Christmas time is here, and Santa has left in your stocking an easy and quick way to get to GM. There has never been a better time to get your membership to GameLeap.com. You can use code Santa at checkout and get 50% off. Not only that, not only will you get access to everything, but 10 people will be picked for a free VOD review from our top coaches. That is an insane amount of value, so hurry up and click on the link right now and get your membership today.